Good morning, everyone. Today on Perspectives, we're talking preparedness for the peak period of the hurricane season. Now, we're actually more than 10 weeks into the 2019 hurricane season, and some of you may be asking, where are the tropical storms? And you may be thinking, it sure has been a quiet hurricane season so far. Now, believe it or not, you're not alone. A lot of folk typically ask that question this time of the year. Your favorite meteorologist or emergency management guy have all been asked that more than a time or two. Now, as of today, only two named systems in 2019, Andrea, a subtropical storm, and Hurricane Barry. According to the Weather Channel's Chris Warren, June averages only one named storm every other year. And July has averaged one named storm per year since 1950. But now, of course, it's August, and the weather experts say that it's almost like a switch is flipped. The second week of August through September is the most active of the Atlantic hurricane season, a 17-day or more stretch during which the most intense U.S. hurricanes have made landfall. August can see more than 3 times the number of named storms as July, and almost double the number of June and July storms combined. September 2004, a storm developed off the Cape Verde Islands, and by the early morning hours of the 16th of September, Hurricane Ivan was coming ashore in Baldwin County in Gulf Shores. Fox 10 News meteorologist Matt Barentine gives us a look back at the deadly and costly storm named Ivan.
The night of September 15th and 16th, 2004 is a night many people on the Gulf Coast will never forget, although some may want to. That's the night Hurricane Ivan roared into Gulf Shores and spread destruction through much of our area. I was in downtown Pensacola as the winds howled and the powerful storm surge inundated Palafox Street.
The water's in the cars.
And this is what storm surge is. I'm in downtown Pensacola on Palafox Street at 3:10 on Thursday morning. In the commotion of that night, it was impossible to picture the extent of what was happening. For many, those dark hours were life-changing.
Sheriff's Department 911.
My mother cannot breathe.
Okay, where is she at?
She's in my kitchen. We're trying to get her out, but this storm is so bad, it's so destructive, but there's nothing I can do. Me and my dad are trying our best.
Okay.
We're going to lose our mom, man.
Sir, hold on. Let me transfer you to EMS so they can help you with medical.
There is a condominium just totally destroyed.
The next day, the sun came up, and what the daylight revealed was a landscape in ruins. 14 died from Pensacola to Panama City that night, and more would die in the coming days trying to clean up and survive in the aftermath. At the time, Ivan was the second costliest storm in U.S. history. In the years since, it's dropped to 10th on that list and fallen out of the national conscience. But Ivan is not forgotten on the Gulf Coast. This storm was a monster that actually could have been worse. It weakened just before landfall. Looking back, that's hard to imagine. Ivan was the kind of event you remember pre and post. Nothing was quite the same. That's the mark of a major hurricane, an event that lives on with everyone who experienced it. Matt Barentine, Fox 10 News.
Matt, thank you very much. And of course, some of you watching this morning can also remember September of 1979 as Hurricane Frederick slammed into Mobile on the night of September 12th. And what about 20 years ago in the early morning hours of September 28, 1998, Hurricane Georges. We're here today to talk about preparedness for what's considered the peak period of the hurricane season, mid-August to September. Zach Hood, director of the Baldwin County Emergency Management Agency, and Ronnie Adair, director of the Mobile County Emergency Management Agency. Now, when we come back this morning, we'll talk with our 2 South Alabama EMA directors as we all get prepared for the peak period of the 2019 hurricane season. Perspectives continues in just a minute. And welcome back to Perspectives on this Sunday morning. Zach Hood, director of the Baldwin County Emergency Management Agency, joins us this morning, along with Ronnie Adair, director of the Mobile County Emergency Management Agency. And we thank both of you gentlemen for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Before we get into the meat of this thing here, give us an idea of what's going on right now in your respective agencies, since it is August. What's going on right now?
Ronnie, Well, it's all about preparedness. It never stops. It's never too late to prepare. And we got all the buzzwords: be ready, be safe, be prepared. First 72 on you. Don't. What is the one about drowning? Don't
turn around.
Right.
Turn around, don't drown.
Turn
Yeah.
around, don't drown.
So and that's what we're doing at this time. We're constantly inundating the public with information. We're going out to jurisdictions and community centers and putting on presentations about preparedness and what people should be doing at this time. And so, like I said, you can never be too early preparing, and you can't be too late. You got to do something sometime. And so we're trying to get that word out throughout the county.
And Zach, what's happening in Baldwin County?
For us, the theme seems to be communication and collaboration between our stakeholders and our partners, to include volunteer organizations. There are services that the county facilitates, included our VOAD program, and most volunteer
What does the
agencies.
VOAD stand for?
It's the volunteer organization associated with disaster.
Okay.
And so most organizations don't know that exists. That's a way for them to plug into the emergency management agency and be practical in a time of need. It allows us to understand the resources that they have, and it gives us an opportunity to talk with them about what we offer, and we fill those gaps with these organizations.
And so as we're talking about this being the peak period, we've had some major storms. And when we say direct hit, sometimes people only think of direct hit to Mobile County, but we're all together down here. And if it hits Baldwin County, that means that we're on the east side of that storm, right? No, the west side. It means that we're on the west side of that storm, but close. And then when the ones hit Mississippi and, of course, even Katrina, one of our co-workers here told me that you could flip a coin for Katrina or Ivan for him, because he had a tree on his house from both. So we're not out of the picture wherever and how close by a storm can be, depending on the size of that storm.
That's right. And like in the past, like you said, and our big saying at the agency in emergency management is, the one that hits you is a bad year. Like Danny,
Right.
the only hurricane that made landfall during that year. And it messed up Mobile and Baldwin County drastically. So, that's, you got to prepare all the time and be ready, for what comes.
And when you look at the storm that we showed, Ivan, it hit Baldwin County, but of course there was damage in Mobile County from that storm.
That's correct. And to that perspective, if you will, that's why it's important that Mobile County and Baldwin County and a relationship between emergency management and our efforts, sort of, that they mirror each other, and that we talk common terminology, and we work together as a whole. We are the only two counties in Alabama on the coast, and it's important that we look out for each other and share information, share resources and knowledge.
Look back at 2018. How do you evaluate 2018 and then use that to prepare for the next season?
Well, you always have lessons learned. After we have one of these events, we get together, at the Emergency Operations Center. We have all the different organizations in there that help support and supply resources and help mitigate the situations. And so afterwards, we try to get together and talk through issues, and people, start remembering about what went on and why something couldn't be done a certain way or whatever, and how we could probably make it better next time. And so, we try to do that all the time. And then keeping up with periodicals and reading stuff and getting information from FEMA and the Hurricane Center during the year, so that we're up on all the new terminology and processes for helping the citizens.
Looking back on 2018 and moving forward.
Looking back on 2018, moving forward, the message is as a practitioner in emergency management, we must continue to educate the public about the hazards and vulnerabilities associated with tropical weather as well as what the emergency management agency represents, what we do, how we can help, and how everyone in our community is a part of what we do. You know, I keep on my desk, we referenced the Hurricane Ivan in 2004. I have the damage assessment DVD I keep on my desk, and I frequently look at the damage from Hurricane Ivan. One thing I noticed early on in our program, we discussed how now Hurricane Ivan has moved down to the number, as far as costliest storms in history. You know, it's around number 10, and I think about, you know, how much damage that was, and now it's number 10, and it seems today that the storms just keep increasing their damages and cost and issues that they create, and that's something to definitely pay attention to from 2018 moving forward.
Well, we're going to take a break, and this morning, when Perspectives continues in just a moment, we'll also hear from you. Some of you talking about your feelings about this time of the year, as well as how you prepare.
Yeah, I think about it, you know, praying that it don't come this way.
I've already started buying my batteries and candles. I got to buy, I've got tons of canned goods and stuff like that, you know, water, just making sure we'll be close to ready as possible, because you know they're coming, they're coming.
Well, it's always in the back of my mind. I'm always thinking about how long do I have before we have to really get serious about this, especially since we enjoy the beach and we have property on the beach and we're concerned about that always. But truthfully, no, because, you know, we have it from year to year.
Welcome back this morning to Perspectives. Our guest, Zach Hood, Director of the Baldwin County Emergency Management Agency, and Ronnie Adair, Director of the Mobile County Management Agency. Now, that's a sample of what some people think and do, and of course, possibly a native of the area for years. How do you all get people with that thought process prepared for each season?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, and that's, first thing is, this is just human nature. That's how we feel. We have a tendency in just our natural nature that we don't want to think that something bad's going to occur. It's something that we don't want to deal with. And so we not only encourage that you have a plan, that you have an emergency kit. What I have identified in emergency management has identified is we must message the public in a way where we give them the same message. It's great information, but we must do it in a way where they feel the need to take the next step or take the additional course of action. And so there's 4 human behaviors that we like to highlight, and I like to discuss because it helps in planning. And the first is the behaviors we have an onset of awareness. We're realizing that today this is occurring and I need to take action. But the problem with that is, that's great that we're recognized, but we have to take action before.
Preparatory.
And so when it gets to that point, the next behavior that follows the onset, the awareness, is fear. And so we all know, with any hazard, not just tropical weather, if you will, that's the theme today, but with tropical weather, once fear sets in and we have that onset of fear, how we make decisions and how we deal with this fear and what to do drastically reduces our capability to make a good identified action and get our family to a safe location or come up with some of the essential needs that we have during disaster. And so reason I bring that out is that with emergency management, we find that that's where some of our hang-up happens. That's where we really push to educate, to get people to take action now so that the minor inconveniences don't become large emergencies right off the bat. Those will naturally come, and we have to be able to deal with that. So have water, have food, know whether you're leaving, do you have family outside of the area that you can go and be safe? Where are your safe locations to keep you from being fearful? So those are two behaviors I like to talk. And you know, once fear sets on, you're milling. You're seeking a consensus. What is everyone else doing? We're always concerned what each other is doing, and we want to know what we're going to do. We don't want to be milling and seeking consensus. I don't want to be calling Eric and say, Eric, what are you doing? You know, I want to be calling Ron. What are you thinking?
Exactly.
We have that set in place. We know what we're going to do.
We have our plan.
The final behavior is action. We need to recognize what's going to happen and then take action. And so if we could take out the middle two, the onset of fear and milling, but where we have an onset, disaster is tropical weather systems approaching, we have a plan, let's put it in place. Okay, it is going to make landfall, it's going to affect us, now let's take action. So those are the 4 areas I like to discuss.
So important. And Ronnie, you've been in the agency here for more than 25 years. Do you feel that you've gotten people to that place now where they're making the kind of decisions that you'd like for them to make?
You hope that that's happening, and I think it does. And you know, we've been lucky in here recently. You know, we had the 2 tropical depressions was out in the Gulf. One of them right during and right after 4th of July weekend. Then the next weekend had the same thing, and it petered out pretty quick. The second one, but still, it got it on the people's minds, and it was on the media. So when they watched TV, they were able to see that here it is, hurricane season. We're just not blowing in your ear, you know, that the possibility's there. It can happen anytime. You know, we don't know when it's going to happen. They can be early, they can be later in the year, and so no 2 storms are the same. And like Zach said, you know, one of the critical issues about the behavior and stuff like that is the fact that we're constantly putting out to the citizens the threat, the risk, and those type things, but you got to take some personal responsibility and know what the risk is in your area. Not just the overall risk to the county. In your neighborhood, you know, you need to talk to your neighbors and find out if in fact has water gotten up to the doorsteps, has it gotten in any of the houses and that kind of stuff. When were these houses built? You know, the structure of the house, will it endure a category 3, 4, 5 major hurricane, and those kind of things. And then based on that, your behavior, then you can decide whether, you know, if they're talking about a Cat 1 hurricane hitting, maybe I'll ride it out. But if they're talking about a Cat 3 and I got a 1972 built home, I'm going to leave.
That has a lot to do, and those are good things that you all bring up to us, and you have available on your hurricane preparedness guide every year, and of course on your website, where you can pull up those things and make some decisions so you can take action. So critical.
Absolutely.
One of the things that a lot of people are talking about these days is the heat and the temperatures, not just here but worldwide. The United Nations just declared that we've had the 4 hottest years on record based on the KEP record. Do you all get calls and questions where people are concerned about that?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, you know, people call and ask because they hear from the media and they read online a lot of things, and you got to be careful. And that's one thing I want to make sure we bring up, the fact that when you do read about weather and information and hurricanes and those kind of things, make sure you're reading a reliable source, not some junior grade meteorologist out there. And yeah, every day, you know, they want to know, what does the heat index mean? And I'm fixing to cut my grass at noon. Do I need to do that or not? And of course, you know, we're not meteorologists, we're not weather people. We can pass on whatever the Weather Service puts out and what y'all put out on TV. And you know, we tell them, you know, watch the news at noon, and they'll tell you what you should be doing.
We're going to hold on that point. When we come back, we'll talk more about the heat, because one of the things that we mentioned, the United Nations says that the last 4 years were the hottest since global temperature records began. And some of you are telling us our hot temperatures here on the Gulf Coast are a concern to you. We hear from one of you as we go to break this morning. Perspectives continues in just a moment.
We can't really tell the difference, because when it's hot, it's like triple hotter than what it usually be. I went to the junkyard about a week ago, and I was about to pass out. And I was like, whoa, whoa. I had the guy to put me in his cot with him. So, you know, times is changing. You know, and God is doing what he's doing for a purpose.
And welcome back to Perspectives. Our guests, of course, again, Zach Hood and Ronnie Adair, both directors of their respective agencies. And as we wrap up here, Ronnie, give us a point that you want to nail to the viewers today who are listening, and of course they are aware, if they've lived here for a while, of how we are something that group of people that need to be aware of what's going on out there in the Gulf.
Right, and as we said when we started the show off, be prepared. You can never start too late. Now's the time to do it while nothing's going on. Be ready, be safe, be prepared, and take heed to the information being put out about First 72 on you, because if we get a major storm, there's just no way we can get to everybody. So you may have to take care of yourself, your family, and your loved ones for up to 72 hours before anybody could clear a street or a path to you. And so please take heed and do the preparedness part that needs to be done.
All right, and Zach?
Yeah, I want to point out, just during Tropical Storm to what later became Hurricane Barry, the amount of numbers and far as growth we had on our social media websites. And obviously we're here to connect with, but I want you to connect with us now. Get on your app, find us on Facebook, download the Baldwin County EMA app, get your preparedness guide, and get plugged in with your Baldwin County Emergency Management Agency.
And of course, this is a critical time of the year where, as you all know, this is what you consider the peak period, and things just, I love that term they use, a switch is flipped, it seems, all of a sudden in August, and then we have the record of what has happened in early September here on the Gulf Coast over the years. And you mentioned one, I think we were talking, Danny, that we didn't bring up, so that's another storm that we had to deal with directly here on the Gulf Coast in the two-county area.
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, any closing points you guys want to make? We've got a couple of seconds here as we wrap up.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just appreciate the time. Get plugged in Baldwin County. Everyone is a member of the Emergency Management Agency in Baldwin County. We need you to prepare and plug in with us now so that when there is a time of need and a time of crisis, you know who we are and you can rely on us to help you.
All right. And Ronnie?
And same with Mobile County. We're out there daily working with the citizens. We're going to community groups and putting out information. And so anything we can do to help a group or and put out some information, that's what we're there for. And like Zach said, get on the media, make sure you know where we are, how to get in touch with us.
All right. Well, we thank both of you gentlemen for joining us today and sharing this information. A very critical part of our lifestyle here on the Gulf Coast. Ronnie Adair and Zach Hood, thank you both very much. And for more information, now you can reach out to both of the Mobile County EMA office at 460-8000 or the Baldwin County EMA office at 972-6807. Well, we thank you for joining us this morning. You can always join us here at 7:30 for Perspectives as we discuss important issues and seek solutions. Now, if you have any ideas of topics you'd like for us to talk about, contact us at perspectives@fox10tv.com. I'm Eric Reynolds. Have a great week.